You know, sometimes the biggest insights come from the most unexpected places. What if the key to understanding a massive planetary scale weather event was hidden in a story about being stuck in an elevator? Sounds a little strange, right? But a personal journal entry from October 6th, 2025 makes this really powerful and kind of surprising connection. So let's dive in. So the journal entry kicks off with this one single stark line, minus 40 degrees Celsius. I mean, that's a number that really just stops you in your tracks. It immediately makes you ask questions, and, it sets a pretty serious tone of some kind of large-scale environmental thing happening. So what is the story behind a temperature that extreme? Well, to really get that number, we've got to look at the first part of this journal entry. It's all about this huge, impersonal force of nature that's, well, it's on the move. The person who wrote the journal uses this amazing term for it, an Arctic spill. They spotted it on a water vapor chart, and it's just such a perfect way to describe what's happening. It's like a giant container of frigid Arctic air has tipped over and is now just spilling out, flowing south where it doesn't belong. And then we get the details. See, this isn't some abstract thing happening thousands of miles away. This spill is heading right for a major city, for Toronto. The journal notes that the leading edge, the boundary of this cold air, is bringing rain, and right behind it, freezing nights. Which brings us right back to that first number, minus 40 Celsius in Greenland. That's not just a random cold spot. That's the source. That's the engine driving this entire continent-sized weather system. It really just highlights the incredible scale and raw power of what we're talking about here. Okay, so just as we're wrapping our heads around this massive force of nature, the journal takes this incredibly sudden, kind of jarring turn. We go from something global and vast to something intensely personal, from a whole weather system to a tiny, confined box. And there it is. Right in the middle of all this talk about planetary weather patterns, you get this, a simple, totally relatable, and honestly pretty terrifying statement. The scale just shrinks from thousands of kilometers to just a few square feet. And the crisis gets worse. Immediately. The very first thing you do, right? The system designed for this exact moment fails. The technology that was supposed to be their lifeline to get help, just useless. So, okay, they try the backup plan, the alarm. But what happens? Instead of helping, the secondary system actually becomes part of the problem. It's not just that it's not working, it's actively hurting them, causing physical pain. And this line just perfectly captures that feeling of being completely trapped. The systems that were supposed to save them either failed or literally turned against them. And it leads to this moment of quiet, helpless resignation. They're vulnerable, they're isolated, and they have to stop using the very tools that were meant to help. All right, so we have two completely different stories here. A massive Arctic storm and a stuck elevator. On the surface, they seem totally random, but the journal puts them side by side for a reason. And this is where it gets really, really interesting. This is really the core question of this whole thing. I mean, what could they have in common? One is nature, one is technology, one is huge, one is tiny. But let's dig a little deeper. And here it is. This is the connection. Both are systems operating under stress, and both are failing. The Arctic weather, a natural system, is acting erratically. It's spilling way outside its normal boundaries. And the elevator, a man-made system, has completely broken down. They're basically mirror images of the same idea, a system under stress, just happening at totally different scales. But this is where the comparison gets fascinating. Because one of these crises, the smaller one, it actually gets solved. And how it gets solved, well, that tells us everything we need to know. So check out how they escaped. The call button? Failed. The alarm? Useless and painful. The solution wasn't another piece of tech. It was purely human. The journal says, a very strong guy heaved open the doors. It was direct, it was physical. Brute force saved the day when all the sophisticated systems couldn't do a thing. And this leaves us with the final, really powerful thought from this journal entry. We see that for a small-scale system failure, a direct human solution worked. One person's physical strength was enough. But what does that tell us about the other failure, the Arctic spill? What's the equivalent of one strong person heaving open the doors when the system that's failing is the size of a continent, when it's the climate itself? It's a powerful thought, isn't it? A reminder that the solutions to our biggest problems, they might require something more than just better technology. And that's the question we're left with.